Welcome to the third step in our training thus far on creative visualization, part of becoming extraordinary. Today, I want to share with you one of the most powerful ideas I ever learned in this art, and it comes from the Reverend Michael Beckwith. In 2019, we met up in Portugal, and we started talking about the law of attraction as we were having breakfast that morning, and Beckwith said something really interesting to me. It was a nuance that changed a ton about how I started viewing the world. He said, Vishen, the universe doesn't give you what you want. It doesn't give you what are your dominant thoughts. People think that's true and it misleads them. Rather, it gives you who you are. Beckwith calls this the law of resonance. The law of resonance says that the world will bend and shift to who we are. If we change our inner state, the world changes accordingly. Too many people do not understand this, so they think it is about their desires. They think it is about the goals. They think it is about obsessively focusing on that person or that house or that career move or that business that you want. But it doesn't work that way. You first have to be, and then the world shifts in accordance with who you have come to be. Let's try to explain why this is so. The great philosopher Alan Watts, he spoke about something called the backwards law. And what Alan Watts said is that wanting something actually makes it less likely that you're going to get that thing. For example, if you want to be successful and rich, the more you want that, the more you crave that, the more poor and broke you feel. And therefore, what you attract based on the law of resonance is poorness and brokenness. The more you want love, the more you want to be in a relationship with someone, the more lonely you feel. You take on, based on the law of resonance, the identity of the lonely one, and therefore you attract more loneliness. Now, when you think about the backward law, it almost seems that you shouldn't have any goals, but that's not the truth either. Rather, what you need to do to accelerate and shift the universe to moving you towards your goals is to first play a trick on your mind. It is to shift your identity. This is the essence of the law of resonance. So rather than wanting money and riches, you take on an identity such as, I am great at managing, multiplying, investing, and accepting money. Rather than want and crave that great body, you take on the identity of, I have the muscular body of an athlete. Now, how do you take on those identities? We're going to come to that in a moment. But first, I want to show you the science behind this. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear, the brilliant author of this book, wrote a really interesting suggestion on how to get ourselves motivated to take action on the things to get us to our goal. So he uses this as an example, and he puts this diagram in his book. What he said is this: many people, if they want to motivate themselves to, say, go to a gym and work out, they focus first on the outcome. The outcome is lose 5 kilograms. Great, it's a good outcome. But when you're focused on the outcome, there are still going to be days when you are going to struggle getting out of bed on a cold winter morning to walk or run to that gym. Now, other people do a little bit better. They focus on the process. The process means they decide, okay, I'm going to work out every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to use a super slow strength training protocol. It's going to be a 40-minute workout, slightly better. They have a plan. But if you focus on the process, there's still going to be instances where you might not get enough sleep, you are overworked, and you're going to skip that gym routine. I tried outcome, I tried process. I was still not always going to the gym. James Clear said, instead, what you want to do is focus on identity. Shift the identity. Take on the identity of, I am someone who is healthy, who worships my body, who has persistent energy, and who has the body of an athlete. When you take on that identity, you will never miss a gym because it is part of you. You need to do it. You don't need motivation to go to a gym. Going to the gym and working out is just what you do because you have the body and the energy reserves of an athlete. You've taken on a new identity. The identity shift, says science, creates the best behavior shifts. This could be further evidence that Michael Beckwith is correct when he talks about the law of resonance. You change who you are. It infected me as well. What happened to me was that I was the guy who would skip gym 1 out of 3 times. Now, I never skip gym. And in the last 1 month, I've made more progress in my health than ever before because I took on this identity of having the fit muscular body of an athlete. When you shift your identity, the world shifts with you. This is the great secret of why so many teachers say that the most important thing you can do in life is to invest in your personal growth, to dedicate an hour every day growing and improving yourself. Because when you're doing that, your identity is becoming stronger and more solid in every aspect of your life. This identity shift is an attitude. It's a mental shift, and you can bring that into your creative visualization. But to create that identity shift, you must do 3 things. The first thing is you must understand who you truly are and know how to deal with doubt, worries, and other things that might make you forget who your real identity is. The second thing is that you must make personal growth a deliberate practice. We've already touched on this. 1 hour a day. If you're doing less, you're slowing down your growth. It is not just about how you grow. As you make personal growth a deliberate practice, the world will literally shift to reflect the new you. The third thing is as you practice creative visualization, you want to incorporate identity shifts within your creative visualization. More on that in a moment. So let's look at the first item. The first item is understanding who you truly are. That same day that I had breakfast with Michael Beckwith, I asked him an important question. Michael had just lost his father, and I asked Michael, "How are you feeling? You must be really sad." And his response stunned me. He said, "Yes, there is sadness in my feel, but ultimately I remember that I am bliss, I am joy, I am the universe expressing itself, I am creative, I am powerful, but I recognize that right now in my field, there's a companion of sadness. And I don't know how long the sadness will stay in my field, but I embrace this sadness and I welcome it in. But I still know who I really am." Pay attention to those words because those are powerful words. When you understand who you truly are, you change your language. You are not sad. You are not depressed. You are not upset. You're not heartbroken. Taking on this idea of negative emotions as companions, but recognizing who you are at your core is a powerful concept that will create ripples in the world around you. Now, the second idea is equally powerful. Dedicate yourself to personal growth. I've repeated this multiple times because it is so important. And I know there's still some of you out there who haven't deliberately set aside your 20 minutes to an hour a day to personal growth. Next nuance of the exercise that we're going to learn is how after you see what you don't want and you move that aside, and then you see what you want, you bring in a third element. And that third element is you see who you have become. You look at the attitudes, the mindset shifts, the idea of this new you as you are moving towards this goal. So you're not just aiming for the goal, you're aiming for a new identity. For example, if your goal is to be in a loving relationship, you don't just see yourself in that loving relationship, but you now see yourself as a person in a loving relationship. What characteristics would you embody? How would you feel on a daily basis? How do you function in the world? If you wanted to see yourself having a successful business, you now shift and see yourself in the identity of a successful entrepreneur. How would you dress? How would you start your day? How would you communicate to someone on the phone? How would you introduce yourself? How would you stand? You see this new you. And the best part about this final scene of seeing this new you is that many of those things you can implement immediately. You can immediately go and get a new wardrobe. You can immediately go and fine-tune your business cards. You can immediately change your posture. When you take those steps, you are actively shifting your identity. Now, we're going to take you into the meditation as before. But this time, as we bring up the mental screen, we're going to add the nuance of seeing your new identity. So at this point, before we begin the meditation, I want you to look at your 3 most important questions and pick something from the contribution column. Maybe it's your career and where you want to take that. Maybe it's a piece of art that you want to bring to the world. Maybe it's how you want to play a role as a father or a mother or a lover or a spouse or a brother. Now, let's get ready to go deep into the meditation. I want you to take a deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally see the number 3 times. 3, 3, 3. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally see the number 2 3 times. 2, 2, 2. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, mentally see the number 1 3 times. 1, 1, 1. You are now in a deeper, relaxed level of mind. Relax your head. Relax your eyes. Relax your jaw. Relax your neck. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms. Relax your chest. Relax your abdomen. Relax your thighs, your legs, your feet. You're now deeply relaxed. We will do the 10 to 1 countdown exercise to take you into an even deeper, more relaxed state of mind. 10, 9, 8, 7, deeper and deeper. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On your mental screen, project an image for a minute of what you do not want. Maybe it's a life without meaning. Maybe it's not showing up as your best to your family. Maybe it's not contributing at your job. See and feel the pain of what you do not want. As you get clear on what you do not want, you can now shift the scene. Move the scene to the right, break it or erase it, and now see what it is that you do want. Feel the emotion. See the end goal. Don't worry about the how. Bring in color. Make it vivid. And bring in the emotions of the scene. See other people benefiting from you attaining this vision. And as you visualize this, you now examine yourself. Who have you become? What character traits do you embody? How are you dressed? How do you respond to people? How do people connect to you? Observe and see your walk, how you stand. Observe the beautiful look in your eyes as you live this vision. How are you different from who you were in the past? And now gently bring this scene to an end, knowing that what you see is coming to you and is already on the way. I'm now going to count from 1 to 5 to bring you out of your meditation. 1, 2, 3, coming out slowly now. 4, 5. Eyes open, wide awake, feeling fine and in perfect health, feeling better than before. Congratulations. You just learned one of the most important nuances in the art of bending reality, the law of resonance. Now, as you did that exercise, odds are you should have gotten some ideas, some thoughts. You should have seen some things that you can implement right now. I want you to open up your journal and I want you to write down what are the aspects of that identity shift that you think you could start moving towards immediately. Perhaps you got an insight on a new way to show up, dress, some action you can take, something you might change about the way you interact or greet people. I'm now going to give you a few moments to write down any insights at all that came to you that you can take action on in the next 1 week. Thank you. You've now completed the third part of our journey into bending reality. So here's what I want you to do next. A lot of people think after they apply this process, they can come out of their meditation and go back to the world in their regular way. With some worry, with some fear, with some doubt, you can't do that. All of those things push forward and hijack the process. One of the most important things you need to remember is something called the expectancy effect. You must expect what you visualize to happen. When you're in a level of expectancy, you already embody the character traits of that which you visualize because you know it's coming to you. In other words, if you expect the right love to come to you, you're already going to start behaving and operating and dressing in that way to attract that person. If you expect your business to start taking off, you will already start showing up, dressing, and operating in the world in a different way. As you go forth today, embrace the expectancy effect. Have a positive expectancy that what you are trying to manifest is going to come to you. If doubts certainly creep in, this is when you can do the visualization again. You can bypass the aspect of pain. You just see the end result and who you've become. You can do it for 2 minutes. It helps move away any doubts or worries. In fact, when you truly master the law of resonance and rapidly shifting who you become, you often only need to visualize once. Let me repeat that, once. You do not have to do this twice a day or 3 times a day. The goal is really to simply shift your identity and be comfortable in that new persona. If doubts come in, visualize again. If you don't have doubts, you've done it. what you've asked for is on the way to you. That is a really important distinction to understand. Tomorrow, we're going to go deeper and we're going to start showing you how to apply some of these tools to one of the most important aspects of life, and that is healing your body. I'll see you then.